The police told me I was lucky to be alive. The problem is, they still don't know how he got inside. I didn't tell many people about what happened. Even now, years later, I only talk about it when someone asks why I moved out of my old apartment so suddenly. Most people assume it was because of crime in the neighborhood. Others think I couldn't afford the rent anymore. The truth is much worse. I lived there for almost 3 years. It was a small apartment on the 3rd floor of an older building. Nothing fancy, but it was cheap, close to work, and surprisingly quiet. For the first 2 years, everything was normal. Then little things started happening. At first, I blamed myself. I'd come home and find objects in slightly different places. A TV remote on the wrong cushion. A kitchen cabinet left open. A chair pushed out from the table. Nothing major. Nothing that couldn't be explained by forgetfulness. I worked long hours. I was stressed. I assumed I simply wasn't paying attention. Then food started disappearing. A few slices of bread. Half a package of cookies. Bottled water. Again, I blamed myself. Maybe I had eaten it and forgotten. It sounds ridiculous now. But when something strange happens gradually, your brain works hard to find normal explanations. A few weeks later, I woke up around 3 in the morning. I don't know what woke me. The apartment was completely dark. The only light came from the street lamp outside my bedroom window. I lay there staring at the ceiling. Then I heard it. A soft creak. Somewhere inside the apartment. I sat up. Silence. A minute passed. Then another creak. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone shifting their weight. My stomach tightened. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The apartment was tiny. Bedroom. Bathroom. Living room. Kitchen. I checked everything. Nothing. No open windows. No signs of anyone. I eventually convinced myself the building was settling. Old buildings make noise. That's what I told myself. The next morning I found one of my kitchen drawers open. I knew I had closed it. I remember standing there staring at it before work. Trying to decide whether I was losing my mind. A few days later, something happened that I couldn't explain away. I came home early. My shift ended unexpectedly. I walked up the stairs and unlocked my door. The moment I stepped inside, I smelled cigarette smoke. Strong cigarette smoke. I froze. I didn't smoke. None of my friends smoked. The smell was fresh. Like someone had been there recently. I searched the apartment. Nothing. No one. No cigarette butts. No evidence. Just the smell lingering in the air. That night I barely slept. Every little sound made me jump. The following week, I installed a small security camera in my living room. Nothing fancy. Just something cheap I ordered online. Mostly to prove to myself that I was imagining things. For 4 days, the recordings showed absolutely nothing. Empty apartment. Silent rooms. No movement. Then Friday happened. I was at work when my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I opened the camera app. At first I didn't understand what I was looking at. The living room was empty. Then I noticed movement near the hallway. A shadow. Someone stepping partially into frame. My heart stopped. A man. He looked directly toward the camera. Then disappeared. I replayed the clip 5 times. The man hadn't entered through the front door. The footage showed him already inside. I left work immediately. By the time I reached the apartment, I was shaking. I called the police from the parking lot. 2 officers arrived. They searched every room. Every closet. Every cabinet. Nothing. No sign of forced entry. No sign of anyone hiding. One officer watched the video. His expression changed. That's definitely somebody. Not exactly reassuring. I asked how he could have gotten inside. The officer looked around. I don't know. That answer haunted me. Because if they couldn't explain it, neither could I. For the next week, I stayed with a friend. Eventually I returned. I couldn't afford a hotel forever. The apartment looked normal. Safe. Ordinary. I told myself the man was probably a former tenant with a spare key. Management changed the locks. I bought another camera. This time I installed 3. Living room. Kitchen. Hallway. For almost 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then one night I woke up thirsty. I checked my phone before getting out of bed. 3 motion alerts. All triggered within the last hour. My chest tightened. I opened the first clip. Empty hallway. Second clip. Kitchen. Nothing. Third clip. Living room. I nearly dropped my phone. A man was standing in the center of the room. Motionless. Looking toward my bedroom door. The timestamp showed it had been recorded 23 minutes earlier. He had been inside while I slept. I couldn't breathe. I locked my bedroom door. Called 911. Whispered my address. The dispatcher kept asking questions. I barely heard them. Every sound from outside my room felt amplified. The apartment was silent. Too silent. Police arrived 7 minutes later. Longest 7 minutes of my life. They cleared the apartment. Again. Nobody found. Again. The officers reviewed the footage. This time they looked genuinely concerned. One of them asked if there was any access point they might have missed. An attic. Maintenance hatch. Storage area. I told them no. The apartment was small. There was nowhere to hide. At least that's what I believed. The next morning I called building management. A maintenance worker came by. While checking smoke detectors, he noticed something strange. A panel above the hallway closet. I had never paid attention to it. It blended into the ceiling. The worker frowned. That's odd. He grabbed a ladder. Opened the panel. And immediately stepped back. The smell hit first. Body odor. Cigarettes. Rotting food. My stomach turned. The space above my apartment wasn't empty. Someone had been living there. Police arrived again. This time they found evidence. Blankets. Food wrappers. Water bottles. Batteries. Flashlights. A knife. Dozens of cigarette butts. And photographs. Hundreds of photographs. Mostly of me. Leaving for work. Coming home. Sleeping through my bedroom window. Walking to my car. Shopping. Talking on the phone. Some pictures had dates written on the back. The oldest was nearly 8 months old. 8 months. Someone had been watching me for 8 months. The detective assigned to the case believed the man was entering through a maintenance access route connecting several units. The space above the apartments formed a narrow crawl area. Most residents didn't even know it existed. Apparently the suspect had been moving between sections of the building after dark. Watching people. Stealing food. Learning routines. But there was a problem. He was gone. No fingerprints. No identification. Nothing. Weeks passed. No arrest. I moved out immediately. I didn't care about breaking my lease. I packed everything I owned and left. For a while I started feeling normal again. Then the letters arrived. The first one appeared in my mailbox 3 months later. No return address. Inside was a photograph. Just a photograph. Me standing outside my new apartment. Taken recently. My blood ran cold. I contacted police. They investigated. No leads. A second envelope arrived 2 weeks later. Another photograph. This time through my living room window. Taken at night. The curtains had been partially open. I started checking locks obsessively. Checking windows. Checking parking lots. Watching everyone around me. Months passed. No more letters. Eventually the fear faded. Not completely. Just enough to function. Then one evening I came home after work. Something felt wrong immediately. The apartment looked untouched. Nothing missing. Nothing broken. But there was a smell. Cigarette smoke. The exact same smell. My hands started shaking. I searched every room. Nobody there. Then I noticed a folded piece of paper on my kitchen counter. I hadn't left it there. I opened it. One sentence. Written in black marker. You weren't supposed to leave. I called police. Again. No fingerprints. No DNA. No useful evidence. The detective later told me something that made everything worse. The suspect probably viewed me as a routine. Not a victim. Not a target. A routine. Someone he watched every day. Someone whose life he studied. When I moved away, that routine disappeared. That's why he followed. Because people like that become attached. Obsessed. Predictable in their own terrifying way. They don't want money. They don't want valuables. They want access. Access to your life. Access to your privacy. Access to the feeling of control. The letters eventually stopped. Years have passed since then. No more photographs. No more notes. No more cigarette smoke. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he's in prison. Maybe he found someone else. I don't know. What I do know is this. Every place I've lived since then has security cameras. Every door has reinforced locks. And every night before going to bed, I check every room. Twice. Because once you've learned a stranger was secretly living above your ceiling and watching you sleep, part of you never really feels safe again. The police found his campsite. They found his photographs. They found proof he existed. But they never found him. And sometimes, when I'm awake late at night and hear a floorboard creak somewhere in the house, I still wonder if he's finally decided to come back.